Shalom, shalom, shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. We're going to start off by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Hashem. All right, double honors to the apostles and the elders of the millstone who rule well and have taught us this word in truth and sincerity. All right, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. We're also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth, as well as you little man sisters that believe. Peace and mercy to you and your household. So in today's class, it's going to be another edition of News and Prophecy. And as you see the title here, it says the topic is, or the lesson rather is, nations are rising up against America. And that's a beautiful thing because America has been used as an instrument and as a tool by the so-called white man, Esau Edom, the chief, I guess I'll say the chief tribe of the nation of Esau, the nation of Edom, which is the Amalekites, which are the so-called, or I should say the I don't want to say that the fake JEWs. I'll say it like that. You know, they have used America as a tool or as a patsy, as an instrument to felicitate wickedness throughout the whole earth and to basically enslave the whole earth and all these other nations and take all their resources for themselves. And as you see in the news, we're going to play this clip. You got Africa is a huge continent, and you basically got damn near 70%, 60% of the whole continent. French and American and British rule over various countries in Africa. Okay, they've had enough, and they're siding with the enemy of America, which is Russia. Both nations are Semites, but the scriptures talk about how Russia, Gog and Magog, which is Russia today, would eventually end up warring against America and nuclear fire alongside other nations.
Hey, brother, before you
Yep.
can you put it as a real quick scriptures?
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're living in some beautiful times, man.
Yeah.
Matthew 13, verse 17. Right? And it has to really do with the resurrection of our people, or we're called Gentiles. We can also apply it here because it's beautiful to see what's happening in that Hamitic land of Ham.
Right.
Okay? As it pertains to a rising up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Read.
This is Matthew 13 and 17. It reads, "For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see."
So the things we're seeing right now, it's not played out on the everyday news like mainstream media.
Right.
It's on the gram, on TikTok, that the so-called white man wanted to put a ban on, saying basically as spyware in it, as if Facebook didn't have spyware, Instagram didn't have spyware. All of a sudden, they're going hard at TikTok saying, "Hey, China's spying on us." But now we're seeing the reason why, because like a lot of truth, a lot of news is being uploaded daily. So men worldwide can see what's going on. That's not being reported on.
Right.
Right.
That's right. And it says, "And have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them."
All right. So, brother Amath, this beautiful dinner, beautiful complication, this meal, and we're gonna hopefully this edifying. So, what about brother? Continue.
Absolutely. Calm. So I'm gonna play this clip now.
I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Africa just shocked the world, and it has massive implications for the United States and for Europe. Many of our Western leaders are freaking out right now. I kind of actually enjoy watching them. Victoria Nuland, who of course helped create the war in Ukraine, has gone from DEFCON 5 down to DEFCON 1 over Africa in the matter of weeks. It's an emergency, and she should be concerned because this stuff is about to hit the fan. The dominoes are starting to fall. And we'll get into the important details here in a second. But first, take a look at this map just published on Friday.
You see that map? This is a whole continent of
Africa.
Yeah. Africa. All the red have basically rised up in revolt towards America and French and British rule in these areas. Okay.
These are all of the African nations that have now signed military agreements with Russia. And even a few of those in white are getting ready to partner with Russia as well. Damn, that's a lot of red. Now, we'll come back to that map in a moment. But first, this weekend, we saw dramatic developments. Russian flags everywhere. And according to France 24 Newser, and they need it because the coup in Niger has entered the point of no return right now. The people rising up against France, against the United States' influence in that country. The Western powers that have controlled Niger for decades are now being pushed out. And this weekend, the military leaders now say that Niger will no longer be a European colony. And they've demanded that all French soldiers get out now.
You know
get out of here.
Or face. Let me get this real quick about Job, how they were chased out. You know, and basically, when you know the history of these Edomites, you basically know that they're base people. They have lived in mountains and caves, and hence why we say they're the real cavemen. But back in that time when we were in rulership during the so-called Dark Ages, all right, these men or these Edomites were chased out like wild beasts because all they did all they would do is steal and cause havoc, you know, wickedness among different nations in Europe when we were ruling that area. And that's what you see these nations doing again today, because it's still the same devil, all right, the same caveman that's doing the same thing, all right. And nothing has changed, man. He's just been brought up on a high level, or brought up basically on a high level by the Heavenly Father to wreak havoc on the earth, right? But he's also going to be judged by the havoc and the wickedness that he's doing. So this is Job 30:7 says, among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, they were children of base men. They were viler than the earth. And now, well, let me go up a little bit. I think the points. There it is. It's just a point here. It says, they were driven forth among men. They cried after them as a thief. Right? So that's these Edomites, and that's what you see these nations doing. They're basically, as he's saying, we're going to get into it, all these different so-called African nations, because a lot of those nations are really our people, Israelites. And they're saying the same thing, man, because America has been siphoning all their natural resources to themselves. Okay? Mm-hmm. Which is the different.
Lucky, go ahead, brother.
No, all good. I was just going to say it's leaving a lot of the different countries and the economies of these countries in a very low state, a very poor state, and they've had enough of it, man.
That word viler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a snake, right, or viper, and you simply just broke it down, but the scriptures cannot be broken. He's viler than the earth. So he's a viper, he's a snake, and he's a serpent. So it says here, I'm looking at the word, the word replace native adder. So yeah, it cannot lie. The scriptures cannot lie. And every word that comes out and in regards to this man's judgment is exactly who he is and what he is doing. Okay, anyway, that's it.
Yeah, go
That threat is not stopping the people of Niger. Tens of thousands of people marching in that country this weekend, celebrating their independence and shouting no to foreign military bases, no to poverty, no to stealing their uranium, their phosphate, and other minerals. Get out of here now. All of the ambassadors' offices to the Niger Republic Mission Service, the United States, France, Nigeria, and Togo have all been terminated. All of their offices are now officially shut down by the Niger government. The head of the military just made this announcement. So other African nations are now showing their support for Niger and starting to say the very same thing. Get out of our country. This weekend, the people in Senegal rising up against Western colonial governments control.
And you see, and you heard him. He said the governments are now even, are closing different American embassies and shops in these different countries. And really, that's the Lord doing that. Okay, the Heavenly Father, according to prophecy and according to the scriptures, He works on the minds of these kings of the earth, right? These different leaders of various countries and nations. All right, I'm just gonna get that real quick here. Revelation 17 and 17, and it says here, for Yahweh, right? The word there is God, but we know the Lord's name is Yahweh. For Yahweh hath put in their hearts to fulfill His will, right? And to agree and to give their kingdoms unto the beast until the word of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. And this basically speaks to that New World Order and the implantation of the MARK. But also in Proverbs, it also says that the Lord, let me see if I can find that real quick. I think it's with the king's heart, it's in the hands of the Lord, or that Proverbs 21 or 17, I think.
21.
21, okay. Let me get that real quick. Yeah, 21 and 1. It says the king's heart, right? So the modern day king would be the top leaders of these various nations and countries. So presidents and prime ministers and whatnot. It says the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, right? Yahweh. As the rivers of water, He turneth it whithersoever He will. You see? That's straight to the point, man. The Heavenly Father, all right, by the way of the angels, works on the minds of these various kings to fulfill the will of the Heavenly Father and prophecy.
Controlling their country. The CIA, MI6, and other Western intelligence services are doing whatever they can right now, spinning their wheels, trying to hold on to power in these countries with their puppet governments. The people in West Africa are fiercely anti-American imperialism. So it wasn't a surprise then to see the country of Guinea announce they are supporting Niger as well.
La République de Guinée réaffirme par ce communiqué sa vision panafricaniste en apportant sa solidarité à la population nigérienne.
This is massive. Colonel Douglas McGregor says the people who've had their minerals stolen for years are saying enough is enough. Get out of my country.
The Africans are fed up with it. And so this is an example in Niger where a supposedly U.S.-backed government with a U.S.-trained military suddenly turned around and said, I think all of you white people need to get out of here. We've had it with you. Go away. Go. Europeans leave.
Again, we'll get around to the...
And it's funny, man, because that's what we just read in Job, So it goes to show you that these devils, no matter how rich they've gotten or how much power they've received or how well they dress or so-called speak, there's still they are still the old cavemen, all right, from back in the day, that base man that just goes into other nations and tries to steal whatever they can get, because it really goes back to that curse, right? The curse that the Lord put on Cain. All right. And when you understand reincarnation, Cain in the reincarnation is Esau. All right. So Esau was made a vagabond, all right, and a fugitive on the earth, the whole earth. So the only way he can have a place on the earth, he would have to steal it. He would have to rob it, because he really doesn't have any place on the earth.
But Mount Seir and the Caucasus.
Yeah, you know what? That's true, because the Lord has given him the land of Edom and then the Mount Seir and the Caucasus, as you said. Yep.
But he doesn't like it there, apparently. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah.
uranium and gold part of the story in a moment, which is arguably the most important part of this story. But first, a story that no one's talking about is the massive pipeline that is nearly set to go online. Now, it starts in Nigeria. It flows through Niger on its way up into Europe. Chevron, the United States, have already invested $13 billion into this pipeline. And guess what, guys? After the Nord Stream pipeline destruction, Chevron stepped up production to get this up and running. Hey, we'll speed this up. We'll fast track this. And now the people of Niger are saying, wait a second. Why are we going to allow a pipeline to flow right through our country so Europe can have natural gas? You are doing nothing for us. You continue to steal from us. Sorry, no more pipeline. This is why Europe is terrified this morning. The United States already blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, put their own pipeline into action in Africa. Smart business move, right? We'll just blow up the competition. Imagine Walmart doing that to Target stores. Yeah, we're just going to blow up those stores. Now you got to shop at Walmart. And now Niger is saying, hey, sorry, you're not going to use our country to transport your natural gas into Europe. Get out of here. So Europe is facing catastrophe with no Nord Stream pipeline coming from Russia any longer. And now the threat of this pipeline being shut down through Africa. This was their salvation, this pipeline. And then add into it uranium and Europe's nuclear power. The United States gets over 50% of its uranium from Russia, despite all of the sanctions that the United States has placed against Russia. They left uranium off the list. I love this. I love that they chose to sanction every other thing, but they left uranium off the list because we need it so badly. We need it desperately. Why? The United States is so heavily dependent on Russia for uranium that Putin could literally flip a switch, literally destroy the American economy by turning off the lights. A major backup resource of uranium is Niger. The French, the United States have been essentially stealing uranium from African countries for decades. And again, these countries are saying enough is enough. We are sovereign countries. Get out of here. We are going to keep our own minerals and make our own decisions. And Russia is giving them that option right now. We want you to keep your sovereignty. We want you to be an independent country, not a slave to the West. Listen to Africa Bureau Chief Musa Ibrahim explain how the people of Africa want to gain back their wealth, their minerals, stop giving it away to America and Europe.
What people want is to gain back their wealth, back their uranium, their gold, their iron, their phosphate, their oil, their gas. And this scares the West because this means the true democracy will take place in Africa when people actually own their own land and the wealth of...
Right. And we know the scriptures say what? They say, we read the scripture all the time, Job 9:24. And I'm going to read it real quick. Job 9:24, and it reads, the earth is given to the hands of the wicked, right? And the wicked is Esau, Edom. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And he's committed what you can look up if you don't already know. It's called iconoclasm, where he basically defaced all starting with Yahushua, defaced all the prophets and the Lord himself too, painting them all white, took the color of the pictures. But the point here that I'm getting is the fact that the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. So the earth is full of natural resources. And Esau has gotten those natural resources, but now you're seeing these nations are pulling back. And like this guy said, they're keeping the resources for themselves. Why are they going to allow America to come into their nation, their country, and steal all their natural resources when they can keep it for themselves and sell it, right, and better their economy?
Africa does not go untaxed. The banks of Paris and the financial sector.
A vacuum. This isn't a singular event. They're now pushing back against this neocolonialism in a larger multipolar world, saying this unipolar order that America has ruled for many, many years, seeking to keep your boot.
But don't get just for newer brothers, don't forget, like, even though these nations are revolting against America, this is all a prelude or pretext to that World War III. Okay, but they are still going to, like I read in Revelation, the 17th chapter and the 17th verse, they're still going to jump on board in terms of that digital currency, CBDC, because ultimately these nations can't be left out of that, of that, because the world is going to be moving to a digital-based currency. Okay, but the Lord is stirring up a lot of animosity and anger and strife between these nations and America, so it can lead to the destruction and the downfall of America.
On the people of Africa is not going to stand anymore. Africans are seeking to regain their national sovereignty. Africa is saying, hey, we are rich in uranium, but we don't get to benefit from any of it because you steal it from us. We will enrich our own uranium and we will sell it to you and you'll pay us for it. No more theft. Africa is in the middle of a revolution right now. That's the news update part of.
All right. So like you said, that's the news update with that. And now let's get some precepts. I want to start off at Nahum. Or you know what? Let me start off at Isaiah 14. And I'm going to start from 4 and read down to 12. So this is Isaiah 14 and 4, and it reads, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, which the modern day Babylon today is America. It says, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased, right? And basically ceased from what? From power. They're ceasing from power, okay? And ultimately they're going to be destroyed. It says, the Lord Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. And that's what a scepter is used for, right? A scepter is used to indicate that you rule. And basically, the rulership, okay, that America has had over these different countries is being broken. As you can see, they're revolting against American rule and French rule, which are both Edomites anyways. And it says, verse 6, he who smote the people in his wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, right, is persecuted and now hindereth. And that's exactly what America did. All right, these Edomites used America to rule these nations in anger by what? Stealing their resources, right? Setting up puppet governments to basically oppress the people of that country, you know, to basically facilitate America's Babylon's wine throughout that country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it says the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth singing. And that's going to happen when America is destroyed, completely wiped out, made a desert, a wasteland. And when this Edomites, okay, these Edomites, starting with the banking families, when they're put into shackles and chains for slavery, man. Okay, it says, yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedar of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. Right? It says, he from beneath, hell from beneath, is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. He stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. So these are various nations. And when we read in Revelation 17, real quick. Revelation 17 and
Like 15?
Yeah, I can start at 15. Spirit, you already know where I'm going to go. Revelation 17 and 15, it says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations. You see? So that whore is America.
Mm-hmm.
She sitteth, right, upon the nations, the multitudes, and the peoples and tongues. So her sitting upon these nations is America applying pressure, all right, ruling them in anger. And it says, and the 10 horns, this is the point, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, which was the 10 horns, the European nations, EU, okay, these shall hate the whore, right, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And funny enough, even though the EU nations originally started with 10 nations, there's more than 10 nations that are part of the EU now.
Yeah, it's even more than G20. You can look this up, folks. You can Google it, and you'll verify exactly what the brother is going into in regards to these nations. It's simple. Go ahead.
Khan. So yeah, right. It says naked and shall eat her flesh, burn her with fire. That's nuclear fallout. So again, the Lord is building up that animosity and that strife between America primarily and all the various nations on the earth. Going back, Isaiah 14 and 8, it says, yea, verse 9, it says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their throne all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? And that's where you see these other nations. That's the mentality that these other nations are building up against America. All right, America is a laughingstock. complete laughingstock among the other nations, man. And that's why these are and then you see Russia coming up, which is a prophecy anyways, because the Lord, the scriptures say that Gog and Magog, which is Russia today, vanguard, all right, to basically, back these other nations and support these other nations over America. And that's why, and that's another reason why these other nations are getting confident, because they're looking at Russia and seeing Russia's military might, right, and the moves that they're making, alliances that they have with China, another superpower, confident, and they're like, you know what? Forget this whore. We're done with her coming in and stealing all our resources, and we're getting nothing out of it, and we're just being made poor continually. It says, verse 11, thy pomp, which is another word for pride, right? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials, and the worm is spread under thee, which the worm represents decay. America is decaying, man. All right, it's being destructured right before our eyes, and that's a beautiful thing. And the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen, O Lucifer? And heaven represents what? His rulership. All right, and Lucifer just means light bearer. All right, this is not talking about the spiritual demon Satan himself, but his physical counterparts on the earth, which is the so-called white man, Esau, Edom. Okay, it says, "Son of the morning, how didst weaken the nations?" Right. So all these nations were weakened by America, and who runs America? The bankers, man. These top bankers of Esau, Edom, that you don't hear about, by the way, and they don't even live in America. They live up in London. They run America from without, not from within. Okay. If brothers got precepts, you can bring them out.
Joel 3:10.
Con. Well, 3:10 says, "Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears."
So the plowshare would be signifying, like, basically farm workers,
Right, farming tools.
because Africa is known to be rich with rich soil,
Right.
minerals,
Mhm.
right, precious metals,
Yeah, uranium.
cotton, uranium, right? So without all that yield from the earth that was given to, that was given to that landmass, most country is going to suffocate as it comes as it pertains to their richest, man.
Right.
Mainly America, right?
Right.
Because America has been the bully of the whole earth, right? That's why it was called the whole hammer of the earth,
Right.
right? So now they're saying, you know what, enough's enough, to the point now where Uganda is showing off nuclear missile, like ICBMs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Con.
Right? Showing them off and saying basically, let's get it popping.
Right. Right.
So that's going to cause a bit of resistance now, because they won't be too quick to like jump in there and try to run shit,
Right.
right? Because the black man saying enough is enough. The so-called black man, right? Really?
Con. It says, "Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong."
That's what they're saying, man. Like once that's unveiled, that's a sign of saying of strength, right? Because that's what America have over people. America, they have more than that, but that's one of the tactics they use, is the fact that my gun, is big. I got some big guns over here, right? So all these different nations who are weak are not coming together and saying, let's jump them.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
You saw in Friday when Craig and Ice Cube, Smokey saw Debo. I said, let's jump him.
Yeah.
Right?
Con, you want me to continue?
Yeah, come on.
Okay. So it says, verse 11, "Assemble yourselves, Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about.
So that's the Lord's doing, man. Right? Like you said earlier, like all these thoughts as man's goings of the Lord.
That's
So
right.
the Lord is a master puppeteer. So
Right.
even though it's being played out here on earth as if they're making their own decision, it's all in the Lord's work, man. And that's how prophecy works.
Right.
It's like it's not you on your own accord doing what you feel, and it's not letting your will be done, right? Like Yahushua, the prayer that everyone prays, right?
Yeah.
All the time is let your will be done. So what's happening right now is the Lord's will, right? And
That's
he can reference that, knowing that the Most High, I think Exodus 15:3, or it says the Lord is a man of war,
Right.
right? So the Lord's about it, man. Right? Read.
It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourself together round about. Thither cause thy mighty one to come down, O Lord Yahweh.
All right, so those mighty ones now is going to the angels, okay? Because they want some of the action,
Right.
right? They can't wait to like get this popping as well, right? The Yahweh is up there saying, "Let's go."
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Right? He's just as anxious as we are because we're sick of this. It says here's the patience and the faith of the saints.
That's
So we are
right.
those saints, man, being patient, being suffering, man, right? Because we want to go home. Like enough's enough,
Right.
right?
And it says, continue.
That's it. Enough. Yeah.
Con. Brother
Yeah, it's gonna get bloody.
Con.
Go ahead.
Precepts?
Yeah, I got one.
Con, go ahead.
Obadiah chapter 1,
Oh, beautiful.
verse Salakia, verse 5,
Yeah.
points in 7.
You know what? I have from 1 to 7.
Yeah.
You want me to you want to start there?
All right, I'll start from 1.
Yeah, and then you can read to 7.
All right. Obadiah 1, verse 1, and it reads, and the title says Edom's downfall.
Mm-hmm.
The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. Right. So once again, these other nations, the spirit's being put on them to buck against the system, so to speak.
Right.
Second verse. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
Mm.
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Right. Once again, America, we know that they've been proud, still proud. They're going to be proud right till when the missiles fly.
Con. You know what? Even when the missiles fly, it says that in their bunkers they're not going to stop from.
They're not going to stop, man.
Yeah.
Right. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, right? And that goes in, that's an Esau spirit. You know, you look at his landmarks and his architecture. He's got skyscrapers everywhere. Going back to his spirit, the Caucasus Mountains, Mount Petra, right? The clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Once again, his pride. He thinks he's like the Most High, right? But the Most High has something. The Most High has him in his trick bag.
Hey, brother, can I just add what you're saying? That's not to go off point, but I remember his curse was to be to the ground. Remember when he was cursed on the dust you should eat in Genesis back there?
Oh yeah.
Right? So he's being satanic, adverse to the Most High's command by wanting to be on top. Because his face is on the ground, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Good.
The serpent.
Right, the serpent.
That's a good point.
Verse 5. No, verse 4, Salakia.
Con.
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, right? And the eagle's been his emblem, right? The Romans use the eagle. America the Great uses the eagle.
That's right.
Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? All right, this is going into Africa being fed up, all these resources being pumped out of them, sent overseas to Europe, right? America. I was reading an article where France's light bulbs, the electricity, 1 month of power is is a whole city's living expenses pretty much in Niger, and the people are in poverty. None of them have lights, so these nations are mad, right?
Yeah.
And America's greedy. They're going to keep taking and keep taking. If nobody stands up to them and says, "Hey, enough is enough," like the news article we're saying, how the people are saying enough is enough.
Right.
They'd suck it till it's dry.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's crazy, man, to think about, because can you imagine sitting upon a very lucrative and wealthy plot of land, and you're not even benefiting on it, but you're putting the work to toil in that land, and somebody else from a foreign nation is benefiting on it.
Right.
Right.
And they live in third world status. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you lose your wallet, and somebody, and you're hungry. Say you got $100 in it. Want to buy you a $5 meal out of the money from your pocket.
Yeah.
We'll buy you something, man.
That's Esau. Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good analogy right there.
Wow.
God.
If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not have leave some grapes? Right. And America's not going to leave nothing back. Right. These nations have to, show their arms, show their uranium rods, show some sort of resistance. Right.
Yeah.
How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Right. And he's being exposed daily, by the mouths of the prophets, the spirit of the Lord's mouth.
That's right. That's why, Slacker brother, and that's why these nations are revolting, right? Because he's being revealed. Before, there was a huge covering cast upon all the nations, right? A deep sleep as to who this devil was, right? But the Lord, by the way of Abba Bivens on now, like you said, has exposed Esau.
Verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border, right? And the confederacy is going into his allies. So we're seeing a lot of these nations talk back, flex their military might. So America's losing allies in a 24-hour period. It's like every day you're hearing of a new ally leaving America, right?
Good.
All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. Right. And the bread is going into the aid that America's given to countries in the past. Right. You could also look into some of their military, their puppets, their political puppets that they've set up.
Yeah.
They pay the money to set them up. Okay, you rule, you keep your country in check. We'll give you billions of dollars. Just give us all your resources, right?
Right. Yeah. And facilitate our laws.
Right. Right. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Right. That's it on there.
Beautiful.
I got a precept, bro, a couple of precepts, because speaking to the power of Yehovah Shem Yahushua and his will, and Job saw this down to our time, right? If you could get Job 12 and 12 and 22, and the point is in the 23rd verse. All right.
Job chapter 12, verses 22, and it reads, "He discovereth deep things out of darkness, and bringeth out of the light the shadow of death."
Yeah, so when the prophets go into this, right, we get strike down. When we speak about it, show the people what's going on. First and foremost, we get strike down the hardest. And we know that's these powers, starting with Esau and these wicked nations. Even if you were to go in their country and prophesy, it's only the Lord will permit that. But I'm just saying, these deep things in regards to his will, people are being bugged out, when the men of the Lord are there out in the road pushing this truth in spirit and in truth, because it's the Lord's will that's going to prevail here. Right. Anyway, continue, brother, to verse 23.
Khan, can I read 21, Baba Kasha?
Yeah, Salaki, go ahead.
21 is good too. It says, he poureth contempt upon princes
Mhm.
and weakeneth the strength of the mighty.
Yeah, well, the whole chapter goes into his power, but I didn't want to go into it. But yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
that's on point with what we're dealing with in terms of the topic, because that's what these nations have. They have a bunch of contempt for America, man.
Mhm.
Years. And that's what the Lord is doing. He's weakening the strength, which is what? That scepter, that rule that he has, that scepter that he has in these other nations. He's weakening that strength of the mighty.
Mhm.
Right? With Esau.
Beautiful.
So jumping down, verse 23 says, he increaseth the nations and destroyeth them. God.
Mhm.
Oh man, I think about Christians when I read this.
Oh man.
He increases the nations and destroyeth them. He enlargeth the nations and straighteneth them again.
Mhm.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah, just finish it. Finish it.
Yeah, Khan. He taketh away the heart of the chief of the people of the earth and causes them to wander in a
It's like wandering. It's like walking around aimlessly.
Khan. Okay, Khan. And to cause them to wander in a wilderness where there is no way.
Hey, listen, these leaders, these kings of the earth, man. There's many more scriptures that goes into the folly, and how the Lord is directing their path on the left-hand side. But that's what's going on there. They're making decisions they can't understand themselves,
Right.
right? Because the Spirit is on them to do it. They can't figure it out. But how do you? What they say? But how do these men know? How do these men know? Starting with the apostles and elders on down. How do they know? And these are the men here, right? Because we have the cheat code. All praises to Yahweh Shemi Oshai. He gave us a cheat code.
That's right.
Yep. And that's to trust him and to fear him. Go ahead, brother.
No,
That's
Khan. I just wanted to bring up that word wander, just for edification.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like the brother said, Kazak said it means basically it's what? To err, wander, go astray, stagger. It says here of intoxication, of sin.
Right.
Yeah.
It's basically like walking a drunken stupor, like this. You know where you're going, man.
Right.
Because no one's on the side of America right now. Other than
right. What, NATO? Other than NATO, maybe.
But they're talking with themselves. Remember, it says they shall hate the whore. And though they who are confederate with thee, who was think you had an alliance with them, they're talking.
Right.
There's also reports saying, I'm just saying it, I saw it through some of the agencies that you spoke about, brother, where the NATO is slightly moving away from them. So there is talk on that. But anyway, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, even says here, it says what? To cause to err, mislead mentally or morally. See? And that's what America has done to these nations, man. And they're pissed off about it.
And that's a heavy spirit, man. That spirit of error is heavy.
Right.
That's why a lot of people can't even comprehend this truth.
Right.
The spirit of error is on them, and the spirit is us that's doing what's wrong all the time. You can't get it.
Right.
Yeah. He's a sore loser, man. Two-time loser.
Yeah, and you know what? Someone who's constantly staggering can't find his path, can't find the way. So a lot of these people in these nations are completely bugged out and confused, as to what's next. They all, because the scriptures say, the heathens imagine a vain thing, and that vain thing is that they're going to rule they're going to be the next up and coming power of the earth, like China, but then that's the top guys, right? But then you go to the everyday average Joe, they're beyond drunk on that Babylonian wine. They don't know what's going on.
They're wandering.
Exactly.
They're wandering.
Exactly.
It's funny you say that. I have to laugh. I'm chuckling because you mentioned it and Brother Kazak mentioned it. But it says also down here using the term wander, it says wandering Jew or Christian. That's why they can't get it.
Yeah.
Because the Lord put that spirit on them. But yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, that's wow.
Verse 25, it says, they
Mhm.
grope in the dark without light.
So
Mhm.
basically, without Yahweh Shai, man,
Khan.
right? Yahweh Shai is that light.
Mhm.
And after you finish it, just go quickly.
Yep.
John 8 and 12, just to prove that.
Khan.
Mhm.
It says, and he maketh them to stagger like a drunken man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it John 8, you said?
8 and 12.
Khan.
So this is what these nations don't have, which is what we have, man. Right? This is our comfort, and this is
Yeah.
what brings clarity, right, to this doctrine, to this truth.
That's
Right?
right. That's right. John 8 and 12. Then spake Yahushua again unto them, saying, I am the light.
See
of
that?
the world."
So this says
Right.
these drunken fools, right, don't have Yahweh Shai.
Khan.
Right? Keep reading.
I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness.
See that?
Right.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Right? So that's what it is, man. And that's what we give praise each and every day to Yahweh Shai for pulling us out
Right.
That's
of
right.
that darkness, man, and that groping in darkness,
That's
Mhm.
right.
following Esau to fall in a ditch.
Right.
Right?
Right. And it says, but shall have the light of life.
On.
Yeah.
Water, brother.
Khan. Any more precepts? That was it for me.
On.
Yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Yeah.
Come on, beautiful. Khan, so we're gonna close up. Hey, there was some good precepts here on the comment board. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but the water for posted them, brothers. So we're gonna close with that. Lord willing, this was edifying to you out there of the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. We're going to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Allah Hashem, Yahushua, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and have taught us His word in truth and sincerity. All right, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect that are also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth, as well as you little my sisters that believe. Peace and mercy to you and your household. So we're going to say a bubble ball.
Ball.
All right, and Lord willing, to the next live lesson, we say shalom to the hopeful elect.
Shalom to the hopeful elect.
Shalom.